point blank, through no subliminal dissing. When I listen, I can tell you never been on no mission. Sticking to the script, don't care if I offend you. Neighborhood crib, the marathon
I overlook my
continue.
competition, never seeing them. I done trained my mind that I'm going. You could tell by how I walk, talk, I'm a boss. A ESAP millionaire, homie, what you thought? My life is a movie. They can't get close to me. They mad cause they can't be. I'm everything that they wanna be, yeah.
Neighborhood Net Hustle. Big shout out to my nigga SPI, Spotter Low. You know I'm in the black box, had to come through, tap in, show love one time. Yeah, y'all make sure y'all subscribe. Stay tuned.
Thank you. Please be seated. Please state and spell your full name for the record. Melvin Banks, MELVIN BANKS. Thank you. And Mr. Banks, you have an attorney and you've talked to him a little earlier. If you need to talk to him, let me know. No problem. DA, you can ask questions. Thank you, Your Honor. Melvin Banks called as a witness by and on behalf of the people, having been first duly sworn, was examined and testified as follows. Good morning, Mr. Banks. How you doing, sir? I'm doing all right. Mr. Banks, I noticed that you're in an orange jumpsuit and you have apparently been arrested. In fact, you were arrested for and charged with the crime of attempted murder on June 18th, 2006? Yes, sir. And that case is still pending? Yes. And that case is for attempted killing? Yes. That case occurred just prior to a year after this event that we're going to talk about? Yes, sir. And did you have a friend by the name of Damon Mabins? Yeah. How did you know Damon Mabins? I know Damon since middle school. Did you grow up together? Just about, since the 7th grade. You know his family? Yes. Showing you people's one. Do you know who that is? That's Damon. You're smiling. Why are you smiling? That's my dog right there, my friend, Your friend. Okay. I wanted to talk to you about something that happened on September. Go ahead. Do you know who that woman was? That's Damon's mother. I'm going to talk to you about an event that occurred on September 3rd, 2005 at the In-N-Out. First of all, did you meet with Damon that night? It would have been September 3rd, 2005? Yeah. Prior to going to the In-N-Out, right? Yeah. Now, when you were going to the In-N-Out, did you know Damon if he had a job or anything like that? Yeah, he just got out of work. So did he work the late shift somewhere? Did he work the late shift that night? I really don't know, but when I talked to him in the parking lot, he told me he just got off of work. Where did he work? Home Depot. Did you live somewhere near Mr. Mabins at the time? I lived right across from him. In a house? In an apartment? What did you live in? In an apartment. Did Mr. Mabins live in an apartment near you? Yes, sir. Now, when you say he lived across from you, what did you mean? Across the street? Across the apartment complex? Across from the apartment complex. So you lived in the same complex? Yes, sir. When you were there that night, did you contact Mr. Mabins or did he contact you to go out and eat? Well, we didn't go out to eat. I was on the balcony. He waited for me to come over there and talk to him. Did you go? Yeah. Do you know about what time that was? I can't remember. It was late though. I can't really remember no specific time though. When you met together, did you both agree to go to the In-N-Out? Going to the In-N-Out wasn't even part of our plan. What was your plan that night? We was going to the store and to holler at some females. That's where we was on our way to. I don't understand all the lingo, but when you say you're going to holler at some females, what does that mean? We was going to go to some female's house that night. That's where we were on our way to, some girl's house that night. So you were going to pick up some girls? No, we was going to their house. And do you recall which way you took to go to their house? We was pulling out the apartments. We made a left. Did you ever get to the street called Hemlock? Yeah, we was on Hemlock. When you were on Hemlock, did you ever pass the In-N-Out there at Hemlock and Pigeon Pass? We slowed down to look in the parking lot because there was a group of people in the parking lot, and he slowed down. We was looking over there in the parking lot. Now, you're slowing down in front of Hemlock, and which way were you going? We were going towards Pigeon Pass. And there's a Home Depot right there? Yeah. Right there at Pigeon Pass and Hemlock? Yes. Where Hemlock intersects with Pigeon Pass? Yes. I want to show you something. Do you recognize that car? That's Damon's car. That's Damon's car? Yes. Were you driving or Damon was driving? Damon was driving. Was there anybody else in the car with you? No, sir. And as you were heading, and we'll call that west on Hemlock, you slowed down to see because you saw some people in the parking lot of In-N-Out? Yes, sir. What do you remember seeing next? I remember seeing the dude just run real fast. That's what caught our attention to him. We weren't looking at anybody else in the parking lot. We seen a guy running real fast and right behind another dude and just shoot. You saw that very clearly? Yeah, clear enough to know what just happened. Now you see, distance-wise in this courtroom, let's use that as a reference point. But in this courtroom, from where you might have been sitting in the car to the point where you saw a person, you called him the dude, run up and shoot another person, how far away was that? Like from here to the people all the way in the back of the courtroom? Right here at the back of the courtroom? Yeah. That's about as far as you were when you were sitting in the car and seeing this shooting? Probably a little bit farther. Just for the record, courtroom, the dimension from the witness stand to the back of the room is 35.5 feet. So at that distance, you saw a person. Now, can you describe the person who ran up behind, as you say, the dude? All I know, it was a black dude, but I can't describe no specific features or anything. Showing you people's 3 for identification. See this photograph? Does that look like at least the way the cars were parked prior to you arriving there? Now, I know that we see a car that you identified as Damon's car parked here on the right side. But if Damon's car was not here, do you recall where the shooting took place that you saw? The guy, the dude, the person that got shot, he opened his car, and the other dude we saw ran behind him and just shoot. And that would have been this car. The only car appears to have a door open in this SUV right here. Yes, sir. Was it a white in color SUV? Yes, that one right there. Can you describe the person that you saw being shot? Clothing, anything like that? He had on a jersey. Do you know what color that jersey was? Like black and white? I think it was black and white. I'm going to show you what's been marked as People's 16 for identification. Do you recognize what that photo shows? We see that there's a jersey on that person with black numbers and a white jersey. Does he look similar to the person you saw being shot? Yes. You don't see people get shot every day? Nah. So when you saw that happen in the parking lot, did you recognize who was being shot? At the time, no, I didn't know who it was that was being shot. What about Damon? You guys were in a state like we seen it happen. Were you surprised? Yeah, you just don't walk up the street and see somebody get shot every day. When that happened, at that point in time, did Damon recognize that person? Damon said he think he know that person. Did he give you a name? No, he didn't give no name. I think I know him right there. So as you were driving away, are you still driving away from the In-N-Out at this point in time? Are you passing the In-N-Out? Like a car drifting? By now we was drifting by the In-N-Out, and he told me, let's go back. Did you want to go back? Nah, I was telling him this ain't got nothing to do with us. Nothing. what we going to go back for. Can you get that off the screen? Hold on for a second. I apologize. So you see that you and Damon are discussing what just happened, right? And Damon wants to go back? Like he said he knew the person that just got shot. Did he want to go back and help him? That's what he said. He said, I think I know him, we should go back. I'm telling him that ain't got nothing to do with us, we shouldn't go back. But Damon said, let's go back. He kept driving, made a right on Pigeon Pass, went and did a U-turn and went back and went up in the In-N-Out parking lot, pulled up behind the white truck. That happened pretty quickly. And then the U-turn coming back? Yeah. Time is pretty amazing how it stands still. Like, what you mean? Objection, argumentative, Your Honor, leading. Overruled. He didn't answer the question, so ask it again. Rephrase it. What did time feel like at that point in time? I was just like in a state of shock. I was kind of mad at Damon because I couldn't control the car. He was going back anyway. Was that just like Damon to go back and help somebody out? Yeah, he helped me out plenty of times. So you guys are driving back and you go, do you recall how you drove up to the scene that you had just seen? He pulled behind the white truck. Is this car parked right behind the white truck, or is it to the right and the rear of the white truck? Like, well, when we pulled up on the white truck, it looked like it was behind the truck, but on that picture right there, it doesn't look like it's right behind it. Let me show you People's 5 for identification. Do you recognize what that shows? Shows behind the truck. So you see the white stripe here, the parking stall line on the right-hand side of the center stall. The white line? Uh-huh. You see where the car is parked right now, where Damon parked it? Like on the side of it? Just on the side of it? Yeah. In your estimation, you thought it was behind, but you can see in the photograph it's a little different. It was. So then, did you both get out at the same time? He got out first. What did you do? I was just couldn't believe he was getting out to watch somebody dead laying on the ground, you know? He was looking and told me to get out the car, and I got out the car too, and I peeked and looked. Was there anybody else in the parking lot? There was a group of people in the parking lot. So there were still people in the parking lot? Yeah. How many people would you estimate? I can't estimate, but I know the parking lot was packed. Now, when the shooting happened though, and you came back, was the parking lot full? Like, while the shooting was going on? No, after the shooting. After the shooting had occurred, you had driven, made a U-turn and came back. Was the parking lot full at that time? Yeah. That's what you remember? Yeah. So there were people in the parking lot. Other people? Yeah. And you and Damon got out of the car and Damon got to the body first? Damon got out the car first. Did you both arrive to look at the body at the same time? When I got out the car, he was already at the body. Can you describe for me what he was doing when you saw him at the body? Crouched down, looked like saying whoever did this was wrong. When you say crouch down, I'm crouching down, like both knees? He wasn't all the way down like that. Now I'm bending over at my waist, kind of bending down like this, just like looking like basically stunned, tripping off of it. So your description of Damon's demeanor at that time is he's tripping or stunned as he's down at the body, bent at the waist? Yes, sir. Were you able to see fully from the rear of the car to the door as it opened like that? Like over when he was looking, I got out the car, like shortly afterwards. But what I'm talking about, you walked around which side of the car in order to see the body? The hood, I walked around. The front? Yeah. You walked around the front of the car? Yeah. No. You mean the front of Damon's car? The front of Damon's car. You walked around the front of Damon's car, meaning on this photograph, people's, I believe it is 5, you walked around the front and then to the rear of this white SUV on the back side of the SUV? Yes, sir. And then did you get all the way to the side, the driver's side, to be able to see what we're looking at right now? I wasn't on the driver's side or nothing, but I was right on the side of Damon. Would you have been able to see anybody standing inside that door when you came around the back of the SUV, and when you turned and looked at the body, would you have been able to see? Yeah, I would have, but I didn't see. No. I have to put this photograph up again. It's People's 16. So you see how this door is open. The body is there. Where would Damon had been standing at that point in time? Like, right, can you see my finger? I can't, but maybe I'll come over and you can explain. What the witness has indicated is just to the rear of the driver's side rear tire at about right where the pencil is located. So that's near the rear fender, just underneath the gas cap area. Is that right, where the pencil is pointing? Is that where Damon would have been standing observing? Can you bring it down some? Yeah, like right there. And what we're describing for you, there appears to be a shoe or tennis shoes in the photograph next to the parking stall, or the middle parking stall left borderline. Okay, is that about where Damon would have been standing? Yes, sir. Where would you have been standing? I was right by the light. People's 5, when you say the light, the headlight, the backlight of the SUV? Yeah. So you were there and you could clearly see into that open door area there. Did you see a person standing there? No, sir. No one was there? How long were you guys there observing the body before something else happened? A couple seconds. Enough for Damon to say that's just wrong? Is that what you heard? No, he was just, man, I was like, let's go now. We didn't see nothing. He was looking like, man, he said he used like a little slang word like, what's up with this? Did he tell you who he thought that was at that point? When he seen him on the ground, he knew exactly who he was. Did he give you a name? Yeah. What was it? Sharif. He said, that's Sharif? That's the dude that just got that happened to. I knew Sharif too. I didn't know who he was when I seen him got shot, but when Damon refreshed my memory who he was, he said his name, I knew who he was. You had seen Sharif around then? Yeah. You came around, you saw Sharif laying there, and Damon was standing just to the front and to the left of you. Is that fair to say, as you're looking at Sharif? Yes, sir. What do you remember happening next? Someone came out of nowhere and shot Damon. Now, you're saying somebody, and on the night, we'll get to that. But you, initially, when you talked to the police, you were asked to look at a photo 6-pack, right? What you mean? A photo with 6 individuals photographed in the lineup and asked to identify who you thought shot Damon. Remember that? That was days afterwards. But you didn't identify that person? No, I didn't. Do you see the person who shot Damon that night here in court today? I really can't remember. I went into shock. Mr. Banks, you said that you're here and you have to tell the truth, right? I am telling the truth. You're incarcerated, right? You're in jail? Yes, sir. And you understand that a person who do you understand that a person who comes to court to testify against another person, what is that person usually known as? You can say it right here in court. Snitch? Right. Now we understand that. That's how it works. But in court today, you're saying that's your best friend, one of your best friends here. People's 1, and he was killed, right? Yes, sir. Killed before your eyes. Is that right? Yes, sir. And you saw the person who didn't. Isn't that true? Yes, sir. I'll ask you again. Do you see the person who killed your friend? Yeah, he's sitting over there. And you indicated with your head the far end of counsel table, my left. Is he wearing the blue shirt and gold-rimmed glasses? Yes, sir. Identifying for the record the defendant, Your Honor? Yes. I know this is hard, Mr. Banks. How many times did you see him shoot Damon? I really can't. More than twice. Where did you see this individual come from just prior to the shooting? Out of nowhere. When you say out of nowhere, can you give us a direction? And let me point you back. People's 33. You see that? This is a daylight photograph of the scene that we were just looking at. Can you tell us where in this photograph you may have seen Mr. Doster coming from before shooting Damon? He came from that way. I don't know if he came from out the car or from the grass area, but it was from that direction. When you say out the car, did you see him climb out of the driver's seat? No. I see that the door is open here just to the left of the driver's side area. Where did you see him come out of? I can't. I just know he was standing there in front of my eyes. I really can't tell you where he came from. I understand that. Do you recall giving a statement to an officer back a few days after this incident occurred? Do you remember talking to a police officer after this happened? I remember the detectives came and got me, yeah. Well, we're going to get to more of that, but you remember talking to the police about this, right? What you saw? Yeah. Do you recall telling the officer that you saw the assailant because you didn't want to identify him? I saw the assailant come from around the front of the truck. Do you remember saying that? Do I remember saying that? Yeah. I really can't remember, sir, to tell you the truth. Would taking a look at a copy of your statement to the police officers help refresh your memory? I can't remember making that statement, but you know, this is like a year ago. I only remember the basic of things of what happened. I can't remember every statement I made and everything I said. I'm not asking you to remember everything. Nobody can. Mr. Aki? Mr. Banks, when you saw the person come around or in between the SUV and the silver-colored car to the left, you recognize that silver-colored car next to it? Yes, sir. When was the first time that you noticed the shooter, Mr. Doster? When the gunshots started going off? Your attention first was focused on the body? It was like back and forth, back and forth. When you say back and forth, you mean when you know what peripheral vision is? No. That's a visual you can see out of the corner of your eyes. If you put your hands out, you can kind of see them moving. Yeah. As you were concentrating on looking at Sharif's body there, did you see movement out of the corner of your eye? Yeah, but it was quick. It was quick? Yeah. Now, that movement, did it occur inside the compartment of the car, meaning inside the open door and the driver's compartment there? I just remember movement from that area. I can't tell you if it came out of the car or from what about that side of the open door. I can't even, if I told you anything, I would be lying to you. If I told you I remember it coming from the truck or coming from the grass. Okay, I appreciate that. We don't want you to lie. Showing you right now, as you're stating, you don't recall what you said to the officer when you first were talking about what we're talking about here. When you first saw the person who did the shooting and where he came from, is that right? I remember talking to the officer right after it happened, but we had I remember talking to him, but I can't remember specifically what was said. Okay, do you remember talking to an officer right there at the scene? Yeah. In fact, you stayed around after the shooting happened? No. What happened after the shooting? I ran into the apartment just right up the street. I ran to the apartments to tell Warren's mama what just happened. What did you do after that? I stayed there with his mother and we went up to the hospital. Did you ever go back to the crime scene? Yeah. When did you go back to the crime scene? I went back to the crime scene because somebody in Damon's family told me they would take me back to the crime scene to talk to the detectives. I talked to him right there inside the trailer. So you were there at some point. You remember seeing the yellow crime scene tape up around the crime scene? Yes. And you came back? Yes. To tell them what happened? Yeah. Do you remember this And when we're talking about where you first saw Damien Doster come out of right prior to the shooting, this is page 4 of Deputy Elliott's report, lines 27 through 29. I'm going to object to the witness being shown the police report. He's testified that he cannot remember what he said that night, and that refreshing his recollection, that his memory could not be refreshed by looking at the police report. I don't believe those were his exact words. Overruled. The DA may attempt to refresh your memory. It may or may not. Again, pages 27 through 29, just the highlighted portion, Mr. Banks. Just read it to yourself. Having read that, does that refresh your recollection as to what you told the officers that night? Talking about the Bushes incident? Yes. Well, first of all, does it refresh your recollection? Yeah. Now, what do you remember? What do you remember about Mr. Doster when you first saw him before the shooting? Stepped off nowhere. Did you also tell them that he jumped out from behind some bushes? Yeah, I did tell them that. They obviously know that basically meant that he stepped. Did you mean from the grassy area? Yeah. Because what you see in the photograph, there's a grassy area just to the front of the SUV. Is that right? Yes, sir. Is that where you saw Mr. Doster come out of? Apparently come out of and start shooting your friend? I really can't tell you he came out of the grassy area, but I know it's from that direction. You had to be standing there to really know. Really hard to explain. I understand. This is really important because you didn't see him coming from the right-hand side. As we're looking at the photograph, the right-hand side of the small alleyway that you were looking down into would have been the white SUV on the right and the silver car on the left. Is that right? Yes, sir. And as you're looking at it, you're not saying that he came out of the right-hand side from the car area. You're saying from the left-hand side. Is that fair to say? Yeah. I mean, look at the dividing line. That's the parking stall line. Do you see that? Yes, sir. Now, as you're standing here looking from your direction by the right rear light on this photograph to the right, this is People's 33 again. Your direction would have been angled right towards this door? Yeah, like I remember standing right there by the door and like right side by side with the door. When you say side by side with the door, in front here or on the side of the door? Side. Right where my finger is pointing? Yeah. That's where you saw him at right prior to the shooting? Well, the shooting. So right next to the door that's opened, and just as we're looking at People's 33, just to the left of it? Yeah. Is that yes? Yeah. So on this photograph, what I'm going to do is take my pen and mark where you first saw Mr. Doster shooting, and I'll put a DD and circle it here. And Mr. Banks, is it okay if I put your initials inside of the DD and MB? Is that okay? First ask him if that's accurate. First of all, is that accurate where the circle is? Yeah. That's where you first saw Damien Doster, and I'll put your initials MB for Melvin Banks. You said you thought he shot about how many times? More than 2. Like, I can't tell you how many times he shot, but more than 2? Yeah. What did you do? What were you doing when this was happening? What could you do? Sit there and stunned, like, I can't believe this is happening. What do you remember happening next? I ran. Did Mr. Doster take the gun and point it at you? Objection, leading. Overruled. You may answer, but try not to ask those kind of questions. I can't remember nothing like that happening. Okay, you recall being interviewed by Detective LeClaire sitting next to me here? Yeah, I do. You remember you thought he was fat before, huh? You said he lost weight or something, is that right? Yeah. You remember having an interview with him, right? Yes, sir. Now, when you were talking to him, you weren't trying to fool him in any way, were you? What I was going to fool him for? No reason, right? My friend got killed. What I want to play for. What do you recall what you told him on that day that you were interviewed? And that interview took place on the 6th of September 2005. Recall some things, but not really everything. Do you recall what you told him with regard to the shooting of Damon Mabins? Like what? Describing how the shooting took place. Yeah, what I told you. That would have been the truth? Yes. Do you recall telling them anything about the defendant pointing a gun at you? No. Would looking at a copy of your statement help refresh your recollection as to what you told him on the 6th? I probably told him that, but I can't remember that. You remember telling him something about that, but you don't recall what you told him? Yeah. Would looking at a copy of your statement refresh your recollection as to what you told him? Let me check it out. I'm showing you Detective LeClaire's report, September 6th and page 5, lines 22 through 27. Look at this and read it to yourself. Does that refresh your recollection, Mr. Banks? I really can't, remember him pulling no gun on me. Do you remember saying this? That you covered up and I heard the gun click, but I can't tell you if it was at me or not. Okay, you don't recall telling Detective? I'm not saying I didn't or did. I'm just... As you sit here right now in front of this defendant, you're saying you don't think he pointed the gun at you? Objection. Asked and answered. Overruled. You can answer. Man, it's difficult, right? Because right now I'm asking you whether or not you saw him point the gun at you. That means you'd be fingering him. Basically went into shock after I seen Warren get killed. When you say Warren, that's what we called him. You called him Warren? Yeah. Why is that? Because he was skinny. Later that night, you returned to the crime scene? Yes, sir. You told an officer... Did you tell an officer you had seen what happened? Yeah. Later on, you were then interviewed, right? Yes, sir. And you weren't trying to be deceitful or deceptive, were you? No. For what, No, it's not a deceitful or plain manner. Why would I come back to lie or, And did you see your friend Damon Mabins after he had been shot? Did you see him immediately after he had been shot? Yup, just glanced down at him. And I apologize in advance, but I have to show you this. People 17. Oh, come on, man. I understand, but is that where you saw him laying when you left? I apologize in advance. I'll take it off. Is that where you saw him on People 17? Yeah. People 16, you're not going to see all of it, but you see the bottom half of the photograph. You see the 2 sneakers there on the bottom right. Is that right? Yeah. That would have been Mr. Mabins, correct? Is that yes, Mr. Banks? Yeah. Thank you. Nothing further.
Neighborhood Net Hustle. Big shout out to my nigga SPI, Spotter Low. I'm in the black box, had to come through, tap in, show love one time. Yeah, y'all make sure y'all subscribe. Stay tuned.
Point blank, do no subliminal dissing. When I listen, I can tell you never been on no mission. Sticking to the script, don't care if I offend you. Neighborhood crib, the
I
marathon
overlook my
continue.
competition, never seeing them. I done trained my mind that I'm going. You could tell by how I walk, talk, I'm a boss. A east side millionaire, homie, what you thought? My life is a movie. They can't get close to me. They mad cause they can't be. I'm everything that they wanna be.